Okay, the graphing calculator. So if you push from the home menu, Math 9, you are either going to see this or you're going to see FN int. That looks like this. The older calculators use the FN int, and you have to know how to use the notation. And I'm assuming there are at least a few of you who got this with your calculator. So if your calculator gives you the definite integral like this, you can pretty much guess exactly where to type things in. But if you have FN int, you're going to have to type in the integrand. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But after you type in whatever your integrand is, you have to do comma x for the dx, or whatever letter you chose to use, comma the a number, which in this case, I want to solve this integral. My a number is 1, my b number is 4. This parentheses, if you ended early, your calculator is going to tell you error. That parentheses can only end after you've done comma variable, comma a, comma b. Now, everyone needs to know how to type in the actual integrand function. And you need to know where absolute value is on your calculator. So, on your calculator, you have the math menu that we were just looking at. And actually, what I want to do is I want to first type in my 1 and 4 while I can. Because I can easily just use arrows and get that put in. So, trying to get it. I have my cursor right where the integrand would be put, and I'm going to push the math button again, right here. And then I'm going to go over to num. You can see how it has math highlighted. Num is the next thing. And I'm going to do that with my arrow key. I hate trying to do mirror image. So using the arrow button, go over to num and you will see ABS right there. And you'll push enter. And if your calculator nicely uses notation like this one does, then you're going to see an absolute value. But if you have the FN int, you're just going to see ABS parentheses. And if you see ABS parentheses, you're just going to have to type the function in that's in the absolute value and then end that parentheses. Another thing, what variable should you use? You can choose any variable you want, but if you use a variable other than x to type into your function, you're going to have to push the alpha key every time you want to type that letter, and that's very tiring. It's easiest if you use the variable button. That is the xt theta n right underneath the mode button. It will automatically use the variable for the mode that you're in. And you should be in function mode where it's going to use the x variable. Even though this says t, it is far less time consuming to just push the variable button every time your t shows up. So I want to type in x squared minus x minus 6. But if you really want to use t, you can. Oh, if you have, what is it called? The Inspire. If anyone has a TI Inspire, you can choose your letter because It's nice that way. And now I'm going to push my over button so that I can put my X for the DX. But if you are in the FN int mode, this is when you do the X, that is the DX here. All right, then push enter, and it's going to give you a lovely number, 10.16 repeating. On the AP exam, if you have a number that is more than 3 digits after the decimal point, you are expected to write a minimum of 3 digits after that decimal point. If the third digit rounds up, you're allowed to do that. But you are also allowed to not bother with rounding up. You can just leave it 1.66, even though the next digit is a 6. And in fact, if you want to get creative, you could go then after that, 3, oh, well, don't put a decimal point. You can do digits of pi. Some people do that at the end of their AP test when they're bored. Yeah. I've had people come back from AP tests and tell me in disgust that some person from class had like an hour to go and they were already done and bored, and they were just slightly bitter but envious. Anyway, so that is one way to solve a definite integral with your calculator. I want to show you another way, because you're going to really like this way. And I need to clear what I've got in there first. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You are going to push the y equals button right there. And now I want to show you some extra special stuff you can do. So what I want you to do is first type in just the velocity function itself. So I'm going to type in t squared minus t minus 6, but with x's. And I'm going to use the variable button to do that. So I have x squared minus x minus 6. And I've got that typed into my calculator. And I want you to watch something. This is amazing. You're going to love this. I'm going to go down to my y2 using my down arrow. And I'm going to type in absolute value, which I'm going to get in the same way as I did before. I'm going to push math, go over to number, and push ABS. So math, and then I'm going to push my over button, and then I'm going to push enter on ABS for absolute value. And now, really pay attention. Really pay attention. You will absolutely love this. You have a button that says VARS right here, VARS. Push that button. You're going to go to YVARS. So I'm going to push the right arrow to go over to YVARS. And then you're going to push enter on function, because that's the mode you're going to want to be in. And then you have a list of all those Y1, Y2, Y3, whatever functions you have typed in, it has them stored. I want the absolute value of velocity, and I typed velocity into Y1. So I'm going to push enter on Y1, and it instantly puts it right there where I was in that absolute value. Now, here's another wonderful, wonderful thing. if I want to just look at the absolute value graph, I want just the speed. I don't want to look at the graph of velocity. I can deselect velocity, and that doesn't make the y1 disappear from existence. It just, that particular graph will not draw. So I do this by going over, I use my arrows and I go to the equal signs and I go up to my y1 equal sign and I'm going to push enter, and that will deselect. The equal sign is no longer highlighted. And now, let me just show you. So here, silly lights. Waiting for the light to adjust. There we go. So here is what you should see. And now I'm going to push graph, and it's only going to graph this absolute value function. So the graph button is this one over on the far end. And let's graph it. My dog is sleep barking right now. Anyway, okay. The next thing is going to be super exciting. You're really going to like this. When you have just graphed a function, the second trace, push second and then the F4 button, and you will get an extremely valuable menu. In this menu is the integral. So I'm going to push the number 7. And now it is asking me for a lower limit. I'm going to type my number A. Literally type the number 1. So I'm typing 1. And then I'm going to push enter. And it took that into account. Now it's asking me for my upper limit. And that's going to be 4. So I'm going to find the number 4. Trying to find it, mirror imaging. There we go. I'm going to push 4. And then enter and watch. Ooh. Ah. It will shade the region that that definite integral is finding the area for. So show again what to do to, okay. So I'm going to, hold on, I need to make it reset. Okay. So I'm going to push graph. No. Okay. There we go. So, okay. There's a zoom standard button. If you push zoom, number 6 is zoom standard. That will automatically do a -10 to 10 window for your X and your Y. It is a very valuable button to be aware of. It'll save you a lot of time. If you want to make your window some specific X or Y interval, then you're going to go to the button that says window, and you can manually type in what you want the minimums and maximums to be for your X's and Y's. So once I have the graph, if I want to solve a definite integral for that function, I am going to do the F4 button, second F4, and then I'm going to ask it to integrate number 7. Let me see that. Hold on. Then it asks me for a lower limit. So I'm going to put the number 1. and push enter. And then it's going to ask me for an upper limit. So I'm going to push the number 4, and then I push enter, and then it's ready to go. Okay. Calculator issues can be a wide variety of things that almost need to be dealt with individually. So if you stay after class with a calculator problem, I can talk to you individually about it and try to figure out what's going on, because you have to sort that out. You don't want to test with a calculator and have it be messing up on you. Okay, so that is how you use the calculator to solve definite integrals. And I'm going to stop this recording so that that is specific